welcome our next speaker to the stage. Andrea Cayetano-Jefferson is a Charleston native, and she is a sixth-generation sweetgrass basket artist, and she's here to tell us a bit about Gullah Geechee culture and the historical significance of sweetgrass baskets in Charleston. Thank you.
To all the Kamya, good morning. To all the Benya, what going on? Hana must been up for a day clean, any, but thank you for coming this morning so we can tell these Kamya about who we be. That we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. I am a member of the Gullah Geechee Nation. The Gullah Geechee Nation is considered a nation within a nation and was internationally recognized on July 2nd of 2000. We discuss ways to not only survive, but to thrive within our nation. I am honored to work with Queen Quet, who was selected as Queen Mother and Head of State of the Gullah Geechee Nation. My role is all things sweetgrass baskets, from reporting if the fields have been turned into neighborhoods, to the quality of the sweetgrass and the difference in the tides. We are noticing that with higher tides, the bulrush in the marshes are not growing like they used to. We Gullah Geechee people are descendants of West Africans who were enslaved on rice, indigo, and Sea Island cotton plantations along the coast of the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. We have retained a lot of our African traditions and cultures due to the isolation of these plantations. These plantations were located along what is known today as the Gullah Geechee Corridor. The Gullah Geechee Corridor stretches from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. Our connections to our waterways, our unique language, our food, our religious beliefs, quilting, farming, making fishing nets, and of course, sweetgrass baskets is what makes us Gullah Geechee people who we be. Now, my Gullah Geechee ancestors were not just randomly chosen to be enslaved. They were selected because of their expertise in rice cultivation. Part of this knowledge was weaving or sewing of baskets. These baskets had various usage, including storage, gathering, mats to sleep on, and even baskets for babies to sleep in. The most important basket to the Gullah Geechee culture is what's known as a rice fanner or a fanner basket, like this one. Before there was a gold rush in the West, there was a gold rush in South Carolina. And that gold rush was Carolina gold rice. The fanner basket made of bulrush and split oak were used to winnow Carolina gold rice. Carolina gold rice became so popular and profitable in the 1700s that by 1820, it was the first commercial rice ever produced in this country. The proceeds from Carolina gold rice financed the building of this city, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm often asked, how long does it take me to create a sweetgrass basket? An average bread basket like this one you see here takes me about 6 to 8 hours of sewing to complete. But before I can sew a basket, I have to gather all the materials. We use sweetgrass, bulrush, longleaf pine needles, and strips of palm or maida to create each unique sweetgrass basket. We harvest sweetgrass during the summer months several times a month along the Gullah Geechee Corridor. The first picture was me in North Carolina, and this one right here is on Kiowa Island. We gather pine needles in the fall in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or if there's a prescribed burn in the Francis Marion Forest located in Owendale, South Carolina. We cut russia on James Island or Bowen's Island, and once the sweetgrass or bulrush is cut, it is laid out to dry. Drying times vary from a few days for sweetgrass to a few months for the russia. We cut maida every week I travel with a pair of boots and a knife in my van, just in case I see a maida tree that need a little cotton. And then, okay, so my husband and I have been fortunate enough in the past 20 years of going in the fields together that we have not had run-ins with snakes, that we have only had run-ins with snakes, ground bees, deer, tick, mosquitoes, rabbits, and my favorite, chiggers. I say fortunate because we have not had any run-ins with black bear, wild hogs, rattlesnakes, water moccasins, or alligators. Whew. Okay, so the tool that we use to make sweetgrass baskets is called a nail bone. Our ancestors used animal bones like a beef bone or a pig bone. My mom's generation used a 10-penny nail. Now we use spoon and fork handles. This is a 10-penny nail on the left, and then that's my favorite nail bone right there on the right. I have a few different nail bones that I use depending on the size, shape, and angle of the basket that I'm making. The nail bone makes a space for the maida to go through the stitch. Think of the nail bone as a needle and the maida as thread. That's why we often say we sew baskets instead of weaving. Now that you know who we be, I will tell you who I be. This is a picture of my mom and dad in New York. I be the daughter of Martha Graddick, who is Gullah Geechee from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and Julian Gonzalez Cayetano Sr., who is Garifuna from Livingston, Guatemala. My dad got his citizenship by enlisting in the U.S. Army, and serving in Vietnam. Now, my Cayetano ancestors were never enslaved and still live in Guatemala, Honduras, and Belize. Garifuna culture and Gullah Geechee culture are very similar. We both have our own language, the food, the dancing, everything. I think that's why my mom and my dad kind of got together too. Okay, so here's a picture of my grandmother. She was born on Laurel Hill Plantation in Mount Pleasant in 1919. That's her best friend, Miss Elizabeth, from across the street. My grandfather was born in 1906 on Boone Hall Plantation. They bought land right smack dab in the middle of Boone Hall and Laurel Hill Plantation, and that's where we grew up. And there's our basket stand. Me and my cousins grew up toting or carrying. The tote is an African word, and we say toting, we tote stuff here. Toting baskets to and from our family basket stand along Highway 17. This was our basket stand along Highway 17 when I was a little girl growing up. I learned to sew baskets at the age of 6 from my Aunt Linda. Aunt Linda would say, "This ain't something you gotta do. So if you want to do them, you could do them right or go on out there and play." Translation, you don't have to do this. So if you aren't going to do this the right way, I'm not going to teach you. Go outside and play. Okay. My mom and Aunt Linda started going to the Charleston City Market in the late 80s. By age 10, I would rush home after school to do my homework so I could sew mats or trivets to sell on Sundays. I loved going to the market to sell my baskets, meet people, and get whatever I wanted to eat for lunch. By age 12, I was able to run the family booth at the city market on Sundays by myself. Unfortunately, we closed our family booth in the city market in 2020 due to the pandemic and didn't return after the passing of Aunt Linda in 2021. Okay, I be Andrea Cayetano-Jefferson, or Annie. I am a 6th-generation sweetgrass basket artist from the beautiful town of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I be wife to Philip Jefferson, who is also Gullah Geechee. He's outside with me today. I am mama to 22-year-old Chelsea, who sews baskets, 19-year-old Mason, who makes palmetto roses, and 12-year-old Aiden, who is my go-to man for making my nail bones. Now, I will highlight a few of my accomplishments. I have had the opportunity to speak about Gullah Geechee culture and sweetgrass baskets at Anderson University in Anderson, South Carolina, which also hosted my first solo exhibit in 2020. In 2021, Chelsea and I received South Carolina's Arts commissioned Folklife and Traditional Apprenticeship grant. In 2022, we led a workshop and lecture at the University of Connecticut for Black Students Association. In 2023, I was asked to be the Gullah Community Coordinator for Etsy. While working with Etsy, I was chosen by John Legend to participate in his Etsy Creator Collaboration. On Juneteenth of 2023, I got a call that fulfilled my dream of having my own studio space. My studio space is located in Public Works Art Center in Summerville, South Carolina. October 2023, Chelsea and I traveled to Minnesota for an exhibit of my work at the Northern Clay Center. I was the first fiber artist to have an exhibit there. November 2023, I was selected by Charleston Area Black Caucus as Charleston's 40 Pros to Know. We ended 2023 being featured as models in Amazon's Fashion's Gifted Holiday magazine. This year, we have been featured twice in Southern Living magazine. I currently have a wall, this is the display of baskets at the Southern Living Idea House on Kiowa River. For Black History Month, I was one of a few members of the Gullah Geechee Nation who filmed a short documentary called The Chief Who Walked the Sea for NFL 360. It's about Jim Brown, who was Gullah Geechee from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. Last month, we filmed a documentary-style series called Made with Love for PBS, which will air next year. On November 25th, the Club Charleston in the Charleston International Airport will be opening its revamped lounge with 6 of my baskets as part of their installation. Where you can purchase my work, I have an Etsy shop, and I'm also in several gift shops around the area. I'm in Binya on Hilton Head, the Hayward House in Bluffton, South Carolina, Dottie's Market in Savannah, where Madam Vice President purchased one of my baskets. But definitely last but not least, National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. In closing, I will say, I know the ancestors is proud today, because I can stand up in front of all Hannah on this here stage and tell y'all that we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. Thank y'all for having me.
Enjoy this. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I want to thank Andrea again for this excellent presentation. I'm afraid we cannot take questions from the audience now, but she is located at tables in the lobby of the Galliard Center downstairs to the left. She has her artwork, her baskets on display and for sale, and you can stop by and talk to her and ask her questions about her work. I want to thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.